They were just children. Children in school uniforms, holding pencils, not protest signs. Their dreams were simple: to pass an exam, make their parents proud, maybe change their lives. But on that day, in a collapsing building in Lagos, their dreams died with them. And the country barely flinched. Welcome to Continent Pulse, where Africa isn't explained. It's experienced. Where silence becomes signal, and the stories that matter most are the ones you were never meant to hear. Today, we're diving into one of the most dangerous rites of passage in Nigeria, WAEC and JAMB. Two words that are supposed to mean opportunity. But in reality, for millions of students, they mean trauma, corruption, and even death. This isn't just about exams. This is about a system so broken, it's killing the very youth it was designed to uplift. This is the untold story of WAEC and JAMB, and why Nigeria's education system may be doing more harm than good. Before we talk about what's happening now, we need to understand where it all began. Built like factories, not futures. And while the institutions evolved on paper, they decayed in practice. Corruption seeped in. Infrastructure fell apart. And year after year, the students, the very people these exams were built for, became victims of a system that demanded perfection and gave nothing back. WAEC, the West African Examinations Council, was established in 1952, born out of a colonial-era obsession with uniform standards. On the surface, it was a noble mission: create a single standardized exam across West Africa to test secondary school leavers. Then came JAMB, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, formed in 1978 to centralize university entry. Again, the goal was efficiency, a unified process for getting into higher institutions. But from the very beginning, both systems were built without empathy. Let's talk about what it really takes to write WAEC or JAMB in Nigeria. For some students, it means walking miles to centers because their village has none. For others, it means paying bribes just to secure a seat. Or worse, being forced to pay for special centers where cheating is the norm and silence is bought. Then there's the technical chaos. JAMB CBT, computer-based testing, has crashed in the middle of live exams. Generators fail. Systems freeze. Questions disappear. And guess what? There's no second chance. One mistake by the system, and a student loses a whole year. Imagine a 16-year-old, first in her class, fainting because of heat stroke in an overcrowded, power-deprived exam center. Or a student missing his exam because Google Maps took him to the wrong center and there were no signs, no one to help, and no official care. That same week, in Taraba State, a boat carrying students to their exam center capsized. At least 15 lives were lost, drowned on the way to write JAMB. They didn't die from failure. They died trying to succeed. These are not rare cases. They are daily realities. And then came the breaking point. Lagos, 2024, a school building collapsed during WAEC. Children were trapped under concrete slabs. Some of them were still holding their pencils. And what did the government say? We'll investigate. No resignations. No national mourning. Just hashtags. Meet Ifeoma. She studied every night under candlelight. Her JAMB center was 5 hours away. Her father sold his generator to pay her transport. On exam day, the server crashed. Her test never loaded. They said I can reapply next year. But what about my time? My life? My chance, she asks. Meet Musa. He went to a special center because his uncle said that's the only way to pass. He watched invigilators hand answers to other students. He refused. He failed. I studied. I played by the rules. But the rules are for fools now, Musa says. These stories are real. And they're everywhere. WAEC and JAMB could be powerful tools. But only if they evolve. We need transparent testing processes, digitized, decentralized exam centers, mental health support for students, accountability for disasters, investment in educational infrastructure. If Kenya can conduct nationwide digital census in weeks, if Rwanda can deliver medicine by drone, why can't Nigeria give students a safe, fair exam? Because this is not about capability. It's about priority. And right now, students are not the priority. The tragedy isn't just the lives lost. It's the dreams erased. That student who drowned could have been a doctor. The girl in the collapsed building? A future president. But we'll never know. Because the system buried them before they had a chance. Every country must test its students. But only Nigeria turns it into a death trap. WAEC and JAMB were supposed to be gateways. Instead, they've become graveyards of potential. And yet, we move on. Until the next disaster. Until the next building collapses. Until the next boat sinks. But one day, the silence must break. Because the youth of Nigeria are not lazy. They are not failures. They are dying to pass. And that should terrify all of us. If this story shook you, don't scroll. Don't stay silent. Like this video if you believe education should never be deadly. Comment below, should WAEC and JAMB be reformed or replaced? Subscribe to Continent Pulse, where Africa's buried truths rise. Together, we don't just tell stories. We expose systems. We protect futures. We pulse with the continent. This is Continent Pulse. And this was the story they never wanted told.